Hey everybody, I'm sorry I'm late. I had to restart my computer. Don't know what's going on with it. I got to figure out my internet here. What a pain. I'm having construction done, so if you hear loud sounds, you know what's going on. Good to see everyone. I'm having my biggest video that I've ever had on my channel. You know how I said I've never had a viral video? Well, that was until yesterday. 30 plus thousand views in one day, which is 8-minute X, Tyler. Yes, the acoustic video is, no can buy 100,000. Wait a second. Hold on. Is the stream going still? The stream is resumed. Yeah, okay. The stream keeps doing weird stuff here. I have a guy that's working with power gear here, working on my room down the hall. But yeah, that video has gotten over 2 million watch minutes in one day, and today is my biggest subscriber day, or is going to be, ever in the history of my channel. The next biggest day, believe it or not, was about 3 years ago, when Adam Neely shared told people that to subscribe to my channel when I had about maybe 40,000 subscribers. And I got 2,600 subscribers in one day. And right now, I've got 2,200. Wait a minute, more than that. 2,250. You keep getting kicked off. Which video went viral? The acoustic guitar intro video. It's not like it's, a lot different than my other list videos that I've done. I like doing list videos. It's, I don't know why. But I'm not sure how it's any different than my other videos, except for the fact that it is in 4K. I'm not sure that, I don't know if that has something to do with it. I've done 3 videos in 4K now. Do you guys notice a difference in my videos, that they're more clear? Tom, the video is very appealing. Everybody likes acoustic guitar. Apparently that's true. Sorry for the autofocus here. Apparently people like acoustic guitar. Who knew? I had no idea. I play acoustic guitar all the time. My friend Keith, 5 Watt World Keith, said to me, "Man, I didn't know you knew all those songs." Like, what are you talking about? I've known those songs for 40 years, half of them. We should start doing 4K live streams. Is that possible, Aaron? There's an adapter I need to buy that Rhett told me about, where I can use my nice camera. So I had this theory that, I'm not sure if this is, we need to do that then, Aaron. So I have this theory that, my internet is so bad right now, I got to call and get somebody over here to get this sorted out, because this is really, it keeps crashing here. I don't know why. I don't know what the deal is, but ever since my guy that's doing work on my new studio space, he messed with the electrical box, then for some reason everything's been kind of weird. Yeah, I don't understand this thing, though, why this particular video did well. It's not that different than my other videos. What is the deal? Why that? Why? Makes no sense. I've been making videos like that forever. Tons of videos like that. List videos. I love list videos. Anyways. I need to make a Franz Liszt video. Maybe that would be do well. Everybody knows the tunes. Yeah, I guess. Chock full of great songs. So here's my theory. So people are like, why didn't you include, why is everything from the 60s and 70s? And I said, well, an antique, I think, is 30 years. Something needs to be 30 years old to be an antique. Is that right? And so I said that I picked songs that were at least 30 years old. That gives them a chance to kind of be out there and see what happens with them, right? I don't think that there's any songs out here that today, I couldn't tell you a song that has an instrumental guitar hook, acoustic guitar intro hook nowadays. I mean, maybe. And then people kept saying stuff like, well, what about Nothing Else Matters by Metallica, or all these other songs, or Silent Lucidity? I'm like, okay, Silent Lucidity is classical guitar. Nothing Else Matters is electric guitar. Don't people pay attention to these things? Steve, people want to learn how to play those intros to impress their friends. Antique is 100 years. Is that right, Deb? Okay. I thought something to be an antique needed to be 30 years old or something. Or maybe, I don't know. But those, when you hear those signatures, as I call them, that's my term for them. They're really chord melodies, actually. So they say they're trying to drop it to 50, Deb says. They're really chord melodies, though. People said, why didn't you put on Blackbird? And I did have Blackbird, but I'm not sure. I recorded Blackbird. Honestly, I did. I mean, there's like 100 songs I could have done, like Tom says there. Or Tyler said that. I thought that people, that the choices I made are why the video did well, because I really talked to a lot of people to get their opinion of this. I've just seen a face. Anything that's strumming, like people say Ventura Highway, well that actually is a multiple guitar part by America. Or in the beginning, I could have done Emerson, Lake and Palmer. That has a great intro, but Blackbird, hold on. Where's my guitar here? Hold on. Blackbird is a great, has a great riff. Let's see here. Now, I think people are shocked that I play acoustic guitar, though. What is that? I don't know why that's, is that odd or something that I play acoustic guitar? You guys have heard me play acoustic guitar millions of times. But to me, the quintessential things, I probably should have had this as number one. This is my favorite one. This is one of my favorite ones to play. It's actually not that easy to play. That's amazing. I mean, that is like a real chord melody. It's like Joe Pass or something, And then Scarborough Fair. I get a big finger pick. I just trimmed my middle nail just before this. I got a little like a hang nail, so it's not quite. It feels weird. One of the interesting comments, somebody said, I didn't realize all these songs had capos on them. You know, Norwegian Wood is a second fret capo. I mean, once again, that's one of the best. That's one of the best songs that I think. You guys know that song, right? That's a killer intro. But that's on electric guitar. Even somebody said Paul doesn't actually do a little strum. Yeah, I don't think I'm playing the pattern right. I think it's this. I think that's the pattern, actually. I think. I think that's the pattern there. But Long Cool Woman. I mean, when you go to electric guitars, there's just so many. Like, how do you pick a riff? You know. He uses his first finger and does like a triplet strum. Interesting. Classical Gas. Yeah, I'm trying to remember that now. I can't get it in my ear. But what is it? Eight-minute X. What's up, Mark? But that's from the beginning. But they have a, and I was thinking like, oh my God, there's just a million different. You get an electric guitars. I think I've already done videos about the best riffs like that. But creating an acoustic signature part is very, very. I think it's really difficult to do. One that's memorable. Crazy on You, yeah. So I mentioned that. So Nancy Wilson's the only person on the whole list that I've actually met in person and worked with too. I did a song called "The Same in Any Language" that she wrote with Cameron Crowe. That was the closing credits song of Elizabethtown. What's up, VA? Good to see you. That a couple years ago, it was voted as one of the top travel songs ever. I didn't even know people knew that song, but it was a closing credits song for Elizabethtown, and she wrote it, and the band I9 did it. I've talked about that before, but I flew to LA for the mix, and this guy Jack Joseph Puig mixed it, and Nancy was there for the whole day, and I got to hang out with her, and she was so cool. Cameron Crowe didn't show up. It was just me and Nancy there. And she was so nice. Oh, man, she's great. So I decided to let her play it on the video. I thought that was more appropriate. Let's see, what else? So last year, this is what's interesting. This is what I remember from that. This is 2005. They sent me the demo of the song. I have the demo still, and so we had to learn the song, and it started with a pump organ, and I said, "Is that a pump organ to her?" Because we used pump organ, I think I think we used a pump organ in it. She said, "Yeah." She says, "Do you have a pump organ?" I said, "Yes, I have a pump organ." And she goes, "That's what that is, right?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Man, I use that for writing all the time. I love pump organ." And I said, I have one, and I've used it on a million records. It works beautifully. It's like having an accordion in the mix, but it's a perfect pad sound. You guys know what pump organs are, where you move with your feet like that on the pedals, and it fills the bellows. I have one right over here. I'll show it to you. You see it right there. It's against the wall. Sorry about the mess here. Right against that wall, right near the door. That's a pump organ. That's from the probably 18. It's probably 1880s. So there's a guy in town here. There's a little pump organ. I can demonstrate it. Yeah. Hold on 1 second. I will demonstrate it. I have to have Billy turn the thing here, but I'm going to play it for you. I got to move this thing here. Hold on. Billy, I'm on live, Beato Club here, and I'm going to demonstrate the pump organ, but you have to like turn the camera, the FaceTime camera, towards this so they can see it.
Gotcha.
You know, there's way too much junk in the way here. Let's see here. Can I even move this? Well, I wasn't going to have you do that, but that's okay, I guess. I got to move this. I have like 1 million foot pedals here, everybody. Wait, is it on something there?
Yeah, UVH.
Oh, can you? Billy's helping me. You guys know Billy.
What's up, guys? Yeah, you got it sitting on top of this thing.
Okay, so I got all this stuff in the way here. I can't even get to my pedals here, but essentially, so you. I can't really move my legs because the thing's in there. It's enough, Billy. That's fine. You don't have to move that. So you just pump your legs and it. Sorry about that. How's that for a demonstration? Quarter step sharp. I don't know if any of you noticed that. So there's a guy in town. His name's. I'm not lying. His name is Rod Fudge. Okay, and Rod Fudge tunes pump organs. He restores them. So I had my first pump organ. That's my second one. I bought them both off Craigslist. And so I looked up the thing, pump organ tuning, so I called Rod up and he came over. He's probably in his late 50s or so. And he had a thing on his shirt, Rod Fudge. So he shows up here and he looks at the pump organ that my original one I had. I want to say it was an SD, I think. And he said, "Okay, this can be tuned. If it's sharp, I guess that the reeds are metal and they're filed down, and you make them shorter and they become lower or something, or maybe it's the opposite way. If it's flat, it can be made sharp. It can be made in tune." But anyways, he tuned it perfectly. He took it on a little little trailer back to his shop. Week later, he comes back, and the thing was dead on in tune with a tuner. I mean, you never see a pump organ that's perfectly in tune. So I used it for probably about 5 years or so, until the bellows eventually they rot. I mean, because they're 100 years old and they're made of leather, I guess, or I'm not sure what they're made of. I think they're leather. And they eventually just rot out and they start leaking. And once they leak, then it doesn't produce any sound anymore. Well, this one is a quarter step sharp. So when I had to use this, what we would do, he would never come back over and tune this one for me. I don't know why. I called him a bunch of times. But I'm going to try. I should try him again, actually. So what I would have to do, and people that use pump organs on recordings, they're typically not in tune, so you have to actually either, if you're on tape, you speed up the tape if it's sharp, and then you play the things to the track, or you pitch change the track up a quarter step, and then you play the part, and then you pitch change this part down, and then you add it in. So that's how you would get that. But anyways, Nancy Wilson used pump organ on the demo, and it sounded amazing. Put some reverb on it. Neil Young, a lot of that era musicians used pump organ. They would typically be used in church services, especially in the South, for outdoor. If you have an outdoor service, you can have music. That's why they can be carried anywhere. It's got handles on the side. You just carry it out, and you can have your, you can go to church outside or anywhere without electricity, and you can have the organ play. So, there we go. That's the deal with pump organs. If you want to hear pump organs, I'll tell you a guy that used them a lot is Brendan O'Brien in his production. He used pump organ. There's a song Better Man by Pearl Jam. There's definitely pump organ in that. There's pump organ and real organ. In Drops of Jupiter, pump organ and real organ, both. They really blend nicely. The pump organ is very reedy sounding, more than I'd say it's closer to it's like a big accordion. It's got some really nice bass sounds to it, but it is a workout. It's definitely an ab workout. Anyhow, that's the deal with pump organs. But Rod Fudge, got to call him up, get him over here. I might just buy another one or something. But wanted to tell you guys about some of the stuff I got. I'm going to have some more lessons for the Beato Club. I'm working on them right now, based on some of my Instagram videos that I've done over the past week or so. I'm trying to do Instagram videos almost every day. I've been practicing guitar all the time now. But I want to talk about some of the ideas that I've been working on guitar-wise, and where I'm coming up with the ideas. I'm coming up with stuff to practice and to play, and improvising every single day. That's kind of been a big part of my, I'm trying to get the arthritis thing under control, and practicing every day is helping tremendously. But we're going to get, I would say we've got about 2 weeks until we're going to move in down the hall to the new room. That is going to be the new video room. It's going to look a lot like this when you see the, I'm not sure what it's going to look like, really, to be honest with you. But the room is about the same size as this. It may be it's maybe a couple feet shorter, but maybe. So I'm going to return this to a studio. I'm going to set up a drum kit in here. I'm going to move all the furniture stuff that I have in here out of here, because I'm not going to need it. Move it to the other room. And it's a much brighter room, yes. way brighter. This is a very dark room, as you can see. I can't light it. There's not enough. We didn't put can lights in here when I built the studio. So that room is unbelievably bright. No comparison at all. And then when I put lights in it, forget it. It's going to be great. If I want to get the dark vibe, I'll just come in here. I'll put a camera in each room. And this room's good for late night streams, exactly. But I got to get my internet sorted out, Deb. That's the next thing. So I'm going to call Xfinity and I have to have a box put in here. I've got to go Ethernet. For some reason, my Ethernet is not working right now. And Comcast or Xfinity throttles down internet in the afternoon. It's really pretty bogus, I got to say. But I'm in an area that doesn't have Google Fiber. Otherwise, I would have it. So even this stream has had some weak spots in it, and it's really it's incredibly frustrating to me. Especially, I had it working last week on some of the late night live streams I was doing. No problems at all. But you typically don't have at night. You don't have a ton of users out there doing that. So on the internet. So it's. I think they oversell their bandwidth or whatever they're doing with it. But when I have the drum kit set up here, I'm actually getting a new Gretsch drum kit in about in a few weeks. I talked to the artist rep yesterday, and I'm having a drum kit made that I'm gonna go up to the Gretsch factory, which is 2 hours from here, from Atlanta, and I'm gonna go pick up my kit. And it's a brand new Gretsch broadcaster, Deb. I'm getting. So I'm gonna go pick up the kit, and then the head of the place is gonna give me a tour. It's gonna be like the PRS video, except it'll be a drum video. And making Gretsch drums, which is going to be amazing. I can't wait. Very psyched. Did not realize that it was 2 hours from here. Okay, Ralph says arthritis issues. Email Kelly Armstrong. Micropulse stimulation. She cured your issues. It works 100%. No drugs. No. So interesting. I will check it out, Ralph. Deb, you'll have to take the day off for that. There you go. Exactly. So I'm gonna go and I might bring Rhett with me actually to help me film it. But I'm gonna get I'm ordering the kit. I have to pick out a color, but I'm getting a 14 by 24 kick, 13 by 9 rack, 16 by 16 floor, and 18 by 16 floor Gretsch kits. That is really the vintage Gretsch sound. It's beefy, as Deb says. It's very beefy. It's 3-ply, like the old school Ludwig drums, Bonham played. All the drums from the 60s were all 3-ply up until about 1971 or so. And the broadcasters. The one I'm going to get, you can get your choice of the modern hardware or vintage hardware with a what is it? The connector, the tom mount. Why did I just forget the name of it? Let's see. Mount for Gretsch broadcaster drum kit. Let's see here. Yeah, it's the there's two different types of mounts for it. So Deb asked me what color I'm leaning towards. And I don't know. So hold on, let's see where it says the two different kinds here. They've got so many colors. Okay, so hardware, vintage hardware. Yeah, rail consolette. That's right. Clip mount. It's a rail mount where actually will go on a round rail, and then you lock it into place, and it has a little uh, piece that you drop um, the rack tom on. So the color I'm leaning towards, though, so I was looking at the pictures that they have on there. Oh my God, they probably have 100 colors. So I want something that's going to look good in videos, because I want it to be, I have about 10 drum kits or so, but I tend to have, if I put together a drum kit that sounds good, it's usually mismatched. So I'm probably going to get, I don't know, the Marine Pearl, or what is it? The first one that they have on here, the Marine Pearl, 60s Marine Pearl, is kind of they have hundreds of color choices. The Marine Pearl is really your typical kit color that you would find back, when you see a vintage one. But I mean, they've got, it's unbelievable how many beautiful colors. It just keeps going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. It's really great. So, they have wraps, they have satin, they have gloss. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm not going to get a gloss or a satin. I'm going to get a wrap. I like those. So, anyways, I think it's going to be fascinating to talk about the kit construction. I've done a lot of videos on this, and aqua satin flame. Let me see here. That sounds like one of the ones that the girls like. Maybe it's a girl thing, Deb. I like that one too. It's the second one on there. Yes. Hold on. Let me make it darker here. Hold on. Let's see here. Oh shoot! You can't really see it. It's super cool. Aqua satin flame. Beautiful. Very retro. Very retro looking. So you hate girly stuff. No, that's just a cool, I think it's a very cool retro looking color. I liked blue sparkle. I don't know why. And my girls are like, don't get blue sparkle. Why do you already have a blue sparkle kit? I said, I don't have a blue sparkle kit. I have one blue sparkle tom. That's it. Anyhow, the Gretsch drums are actually different than most, but they moved to a multiply kits, and they always had. You can get. I think you can get the. This comes with a double flange. This comes with double flange hoops, I want to say, but triple flange, like Ludwig kits come with triple flange, but typically modern Gretsch drums have die-cast hoops on them. And die-cast tubes are really great for killing your sticks when you do rim shots. They eat into your sticks, but they have a really great attack when you do rim shots. But they're real stick choppers. The nice thing about them is that they're incredibly sturdy. When you do a rim shot on a triple flange hoop, the hoop bends slightly, and after you've done a bunch of rim shots throughout the course of a track, your snare drum will start going out of pitch, just from the shock of it, from the rim compressing with a good hard rim shot. And the Gretsch ones don't really detune. So I'm also going to get a Gretsch bell brass snare drum. When I interviewed Larry Carlton when he was playing that night, the drummer was who was the drummer? Steve Ferroni. And he had a bell brass snare. I don't know if you guys know about bell brass snares, but it's made of a really pure alloy, I guess, or a combination of alloys, and they're incredibly heavy. They're one of these snares is probably, I don't know, 15 pounds or something. Originally, Tama made a bell brass snare. To buy one now they're over $2,000 to buy a Tama bell brass. But like the snare drum used on a lot of records, there's a drum. What is it called? Drum Workshop. Drum. There's a rental place in L.A. that rents out the snare drum called the Terminator. And the Terminator was a snare drum used on Nirvana Nevermind, but it's on a million records. And it's a bell brass snare, and I rented it. And it actually weighs about 25 pounds. It's unbelievably heavy. But I remember I worked with this engineer one time named Carl Derfler that engineered Dave Matthews' record with The Space Between Us. Ross Garfield is the guy that owns that snare, and he tunes drums. He's a drum tech in LA, but he owns that Terminator snare, but it's been used on many records. Anyway, so this guy Carl was telling me that they had a bell brass drum kit that Carter Beauford used on this particular record, and the kick drum weighed 400 pounds. Okay. It was insane. He said that the stands were, just enormous, the hardware on it to hold this stuff up. But he said the kick, it was four people it took to move the kick. 400 pounds, Tom. That is amazing. He said it sounded great, though. If you guys know that record, The Space Between, I forget the name of the record, but Glenn Ballard produced it. And but that is the kit that Carter's playing on it. I think that particular kit was made of all melted down Zildjian cymbals or something like that. So, but bell brass has a very particular sound, really great, beautiful overtones to it, and I don't own a straight brass snare drum. I have my Black Beauty is made of brass, but it's, what is it, iodized brass or something? There's sound than a brass snare. So anyways, I'm going to do, when I get the snare, I'll do a video where I talk about different snare drum construction and talk about different metal snares, aluminum and brass and steel and all the different kind of metal snares that you can have. And I'll talk about different wood snares, triple, 3-ply with reinforcement hoops versus, that you have multiple ply snare drums, all different kinds. You have different type of snare drum construction, like stave snares. Stave snares are made usually with 10 blocks, and they look like a keystone, the way that they fit in with these they look like a set of keystones anyways, and they're glued together. Brady, which was an Australian company, they made incredibly good drums. Some of the best snare drums. They went out of business probably 5 years ago or so, and I owned a couple Brady snare drums that were stave. They were made out of a wood called Jarrah, which is a very common wood in Australia. They said it's 10 times more dense than maple. Deb, you have a stave drum. It's insane, like a cannon. Exactly. These drums were like cannons. They sounded phenomenal. I had both a 5.5 and a 6.5. And they were beautiful drums. Brady was a great, great company. And the old man Brady passed away, and his daughter took over the company, and she eventually closed it. I think it was hard for them to make money because of shipping from Australia. But if you ever get a staved snare drum, if you guys play drums or you're producers or anything, They're really incredibly good sounding. Some of my favorite records that I produced, I used that Brady snare drum on, and it just has a sound to it. I mean, really killer sound. And the snare is everything. Everything in the drum set, you know? That's the thing, is that if you don't have a great snare sound, then it's going to get captured in the overheads and it's going to get captured in the room mics. So that no matter what you do, even if you put a sample on it, that's why it's so important to know how to tune your drums well. Because if you don't tune your drums well, you can't use your room mics. So you have to be able to tune your drums well, know what the pitches of each drum should be relative to each other, and the pitches that actually sound good on them, and be able to tune it so that it just sounds great acoustically. So I did a couple of videos at the beginning of my channel on drum tuning that are some of my biggest videos. And when I first started my channel, my biggest videos were my drum tuning videos, which is pretty funny. So I can talk about drums all day, and I'm going to do a video on drum width, about why 14-inch kick drums, or depth, I guess you'd call it, why 14-inch kick drums have more bottom end and just sound better for recording. And the size of the kick drum starting in the 80s started to increase all the way up through the 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s. No matter what it was, whether it was Louis Bellson or John Bonham, they always played 14-inch depth. John Bonham played a 26 by 14. Bebop drummers would play an 18 by 14 or a 20 by 14, and rock drummers like Ringo would do a 22 by 14, but they would have 14, the length of it. I don't know what you call that. Is it the width? The length of the drum. You have the diameter of it. So then they started in the 80s, they started making them longer. So you went to depth. Thank you, Tyler. So they'd go to 16-inch drums, kick drums back then. And then you saw in the 90s, late 90s, you would see 18-inch drums. And then you'd start seeing in the 2000s 20-inch, 22-inch depth drums. So some of these drums were ridiculous, 22 by 22. And I had people bring stuff in here. I was like, get that thing out of here. It sounds terrible. It has no bottom end at all. So the theory, and I'm going to make the video on this, is that the less mass you have, the easier it is to get this piece of wood to vibrate, right? Makes sense. It's easier to get into motion. Also, the air moves through it quicker. So it has way more punch to it. So that John Bonham had huge drums, but the depth was narrow, 14, and they were tuned high. So that's what really gave that kick drum that sound. I mean, it was just, monstrous. Monstrous. So anyhow, so I'm going to do a video comparing kick drum depth and showing how you start to lose punch and low end as you gain more mass. If you think about it, like a Les Paul that's heavy, that's made out of maple, if it was made in the mid 70s, let's say 75 through 82, Les Pauls sound terrible. And the reason that they don't sound good is because they're made out of maple. The body's maple and the back of the neck is maple. Whereas up till then, they were made out of mahogany. Now they're made of mahogany, and all the Les Pauls before that were mahogany with a maple cap. So maple's a harder wood, mahogany's a softer wood. They have different, characteristics. But you'll notice that those they don't sound those heavier Les Pauls do not sound that good. So they have a higher they they just don't. I don't think they have the depth of sound. They have more mid-range to them. The other thing, too, is when you have a vibrating instrument like a guitar. So my acoustic guitar that I was playing is really well balanced. Wherever it is. Here. So this particular guitar is mahogany. As you can see, that's mahogany back and a spruce top. Okay, you guys can see that, right? So mahogany sides. This particular guitar is a 57. Now it looks like it's in great shape because it is in great shape. But it was actually refinished at the factory in 1991. My friend Jimmy that I bought it for. But anyways, as guitars age, they vibrate more and they get drier. And the drier they get, they lose mass. And the wood, when it has less moisture in it, vibrates better. It's just, that's why these 3-ply drums were very thin and they sounded great. They didn't have a lot of mass. The 3-plies they would have, it would be an 1/8 inch ply of maple, 16th inch maple, 1/8 inch poplar, 16th inch maple. So the maple was very hard wood, but the poplar, which really made up the bulk of the drum, well, equal amount of the drum, all the vintage drums, you could get poplar mahogany, but like you would typically find those in the lower end kits, and they started making mahogany kits in the 60s because the Beatles became so famous, everybody wanted Ludwig kits, right? But they ran out of maple to make them apparently, and they would start making them with mahogany, which was a softer wood, and they sounded different. So it'd be mahogany, poplar, mahogany. I know this because I've bought so many drums, and I know guys that are drum makers, and so I've done a lot of research on this. And owning and miking drums all the time is it's one of the best experiences that I think I've had, and taught me the most about sound. It taught me learning about drums taught me more about guitar sounds, how to mic things. How to tune drums, understanding around all that stuff is really important. So, and it affects the tuning and it affects your drum sound. So, one of the reasons I started buying drums was that the drummers that came in did not have good drum kits. And I didn't want my work to be judged on the fact that the people's gear was inferior, because it didn't matter when you listen to the recording. All you know is that Rick Beato, he gets bad snare sounds. I didn't want anyone to say that. So I went out and bought my first snare. I got to a session, this drummer brought his snare and it sounded terrible. And I said to my assistant, Ken, I was like, I'm going to buy a snare drum. So I went to this drum store. I bought a snare drum. And I used it on there. And then I started buying more and more snares, and I started buying drum kits. So because I never want to be in that position again. Laura asked a question: have you ever shared what the first instrument you played was, in the order you learned the rest of the rhythm section? The first instrument I learned, Laura, was the cello. I played the cello from 3rd grade to 6th grade, and then I went to the bass, to the upright bass. And then in 7th grade, I started playing the guitar. 8th grade, I started playing the guitar. When I was 14, I started playing guitar. And so I played for 4 years when I got into college. I had only been playing for 4 years. And then I've been playing, when I was a college professor, I'd been playing for 10 years. That was it. As far as piano, I started learning the piano when I was a freshman in college, so 18, because we didn't own a piano. And then I didn't play any drums until I bought drum kits, honestly, until I had this studio here. I own drum kits. I never had anywhere to set them up to play. And as a matter of fact, I haven't had a drum kit set up here for probably, I don't know when the last drum video I did was. You know when I did it was one of AC/DC videos that I did where I set up the drums and I mic'd them up really fast in the video and played them. But then I tore them down right after. So, and they didn't go, I didn't put them where I normally put them in the room. So that's what's going to be great when I move out of here and I move down to the new studio 30 feet away, is that I will have a drum kit set up here so that we can have jams and things like that. I can have amps set up and we can have people over to play, Rhett, Dave, whoever, and we can do jams. It's going to be great. Make videos of this. Maybe even do live streams where we jam. So anyhow, all right. Well, that's good for here. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments here. I've got a new video coming out tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the Pliny video. Oh wait, I got some new people on here. Hold on. Let's see. You have an 88 custom Les Paul. It's mahogany. The maple ones do they have the relief holes? I'm not sure, but they weigh a ton, and you don't want those. You do not want those. You don't want Les Pauls built between 75 and 82. Okay. Monty, let's see here. Is it true, Ralph? Is it true Gene Kruger brought music scene heavy drums every return from Africa? Somebody rich with a massive band. I'll let you know about that. We're going to talk more drums here in the future. I think it's important to know this stuff. I tell you things that people don't know enough about musicians. Acoustics and construction of instruments. It's unbelievably important. So we're going to talk more about it. All right. See you guys.